Miss Mary Mac, all dressed in black, with silver buttons all down her back. She asked her mother for 50 cents to see the elephants. They jumped the fence. They jumped so high. They reached the sky, and never came back till the 4th of July. Liar.
So Michelle Malkin has recently come out angry about the threats against the AIG employees who received bonuses with the people's tax money via the bailout. Now, I do agree with her that these threats are wrong, but Malkin once again proves herself to be a liar and a hypocrite. She aimed her buckshot at Barney Frank and other Democrats and claimed that they flippantly dismissed the threats, and even quotes Barney Frank simply as saying, "I am not persuaded." Now, here is where she's a liar. Barney Frank went into great detail about he disapproves of these threats and even suggests prosecuting any threats using legal action. He said a hell of a lot more than just, "I am not persuaded," as you can see in this clip.
Next question before I ask you my final one. Well, I'm running out of time. I would be interested in your submitting in writing, given your experience, whether we should be dealing with this question of an orderly resolution procedure. You were put in place where there wasn't any. The Secretary of the Treasury previously and currently have said we need an orderly way to wind down a troubled non-bank. But let me ask you this now, and you said some people are giving the bonuses back. I'm now asking you to send us the names of those who received bonuses who have not given them back. Can you do that?
Sir, I will if I can be absolutely assured that they will remain confidential.
Well, I won't give you that assurance, sir. And so if that's the condition, it would be my intention to ask this committee to subpoena them. And I would, this is a situation where there's a lot of public activity. I ask you to submit the names of the people who've received the bonuses, noting that they paid them back or not. And I won't accept them under confidentiality personally. In fact, you submitted some confidential information, and I frankly threw it away after reading it because I was afraid I would inadvertently breach the confidentiality. But I do ask that you submit those names without restriction, and if you feel unable to do that, then I will ask the committee to subpoena them.
Congressman, if you'll let me explain, I very much want to comply with your request. I would hope it doesn't take a subpoena. If it does, then we will obviously comply with the law. I'm just really concerned about the safety of our people. So let me just read two things to you. All the executives and their families should be executed with piano wire around their necks. My greatest hope. If the government can't do this properly, we the people will take it in our own hands and see that justice is done. I'm looking for all the CEOs' names, kids, where they live, etc. You have a legitimate request.
Well, all right,
I want to protect the well-being of our employees.
Could I get an additional minute by unanimous consent, because this is a subject to be addressed? I understand that. Many of us get these kinds of threats. Clearly, those threats are despicable. People who engage in this kind of threat, and I would say to my colleagues, the rhetoric can get overheated, so we ought to be very careful. That's why I want to be very clear, Mr. Liddy, that I disagree with the way you've handled this, but I understand that you inherited it. I disagree with the people who wrote those contracts, but it did not appear to me to be criminal. I will be willing to be guided to some extent by what the security officials may say, but this is an important public subject, and my guess is that there are probably threats aimed without too much specificity about people who work there. So I am going to keep that request on the table. I will consult with the law enforcement people, including the federal law enforcement people, and if they tell us they think there is a serious threat, we will have to take that into consideration. But I do want to keep that request on the table, and it is subject to our being persuaded. If I ask for a subpoena, there'd be a a committee markup. It's not a unilateral decision. And yes, it's legitimate to take into account. I have to say that is, if we give into these kind of threats, we would never get information made public about a lot of things. And I would certainly ask that the state and local and federal law enforcement officials give full cooperation. And I would urge that any threat that anybody even comes close to carrying out, or even threats which themselves can violate the law, be prosecuted. But at this point, I am not persuaded, but it is I will ask before we act that we get information from the security people, and then I'll be before the committee when we vote. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. We'll wait to have more discussion with you.
Yeah, that sounded so flippant. Anyway, the second part of my complaint against her is the fact that she's being blatantly hypocritical. On April 12, 2006, Malkin complained about UC Santa Cruz students protesting against military recruiters on their campus, and decided it would be a great idea to post the information of the students and leaders who organized the anti-war protest on her website. She even goes so far as to call this act of protest sedition. After posting this information, the students began getting death threats. She issued her own flippant dismissal of these threats. She stated in an update that, quote, "If you are contacting them, I do not condone death threats or foul language. As for Saw, my message is this. You are responsible for your individual actions. Other individuals are responsible for theirs. Grow up and take responsibility." Now, to me, this smacks of a typical blame the victim response. Notice she says other individuals are responsible for theirs. Grow up and take responsibility. She's basically saying, I'm sorry if you're getting death threats, but you should not have done what you did, so it's your own fault, not mine. Grow up, crybabies. So, Malkin, I want to ask you, why are you such an insufferable hypocrite and liar?